it's not wrong to use the term like people who menstruate or birthing persons. It's simply not. No matter what you want to think about it, you can not like it, and that's okay. All right. And also using the term birthing persons is also okay. You know, it's but like maybe we can come to some understanding sometime. But like broadening it out, and then especially trying to like scoop up like other like trans men and other trans people into it to try to make like more arguments and then answering questions with questions and this type of thing, I just don't think is like the most effective way to deal with this. And then people get the wrong idea, and then like everybody gets defensive and everybody's making insults, and then now it's like a huge issue. It just doesn't. I think she handled this poorly. Take a look at this. This is interesting. Okay, so I think this is the first thing that this is the first. Did this start? Can anybody know? Did this start on Twitter when she just made this, or did it start somewhere on TYT? And I just missed it. I don't really watch TYT. Start on Twitter? Pretty sure. Okay, I had a feeling that it did with the original meme. Okay, brought it up out of nowhere. I don't know. I think maybe she was in like a conversation with somebody or something, but this is the first time I saw anything about it. So we'll start here. I'm a woman. Please don't refer to me as a person with a uterus, birthing person, or the person who menstruates. How do people not realize how degrading this is? You can support the transgender community without doing this. So my response to this was, it's fine to not want to be called something, but this is a strange take because those terms are used when distinction is important. It's like being upset about being referred to as a female in similar contexts, but it seems like you're fine with that. And then I was able to find her referring to herself as a female here with her own account on Reddit 10 years ago. I am the female co-host of the Young Turks. And so I was like, right? Let me know if I'm off the mark here. But like XX chromosome, uterus haver, person who can give birth, birthing person, whatever. All of these things are just like kind of all of these things are kind of shorthand for like female, but we don't want to call like everybody who, and there may be some people who have uteruses but may not be female the way that we may imagine due to like there being intersex people, and especially if you want to be inclusive to those people as well. And it seemed like she's fine calling herself that, right? And so I was just kind of, I thought it was just kind of weird how this would come up, because have you ever just heard people talking about just females or referring to like a single person and then calling them a birthing person or anything like that? Typically when I ever hear that being used, it's specifically for when we're trying to talk about multiple types of people who identify multiple different ways without like keeping one person out or another person out based on like their identity. Like there have been cases of like men who we would describe as men, people who have fathered children and produce the spermies, who have uteruses. This is just true, okay? Or at least we're born with uteruses. This is just simply true. I don't know what to tell you. And I can't call that person necessarily a female, but he did have a uterus, so it makes sense there. Or for other cases, I mean, it's just weird to have this type of take. And then this obviously got swarmed by a bunch of conservatives who were like, yeah, let's go. Carrie Lake, like broken clock. I think you're an embarrassment to this country and a full-blown lunatic. That's a good response, at least. I am also a woman, proud of it and fight for us every day, but not everyone who deals with reproductive issues is a woman. Liz, I have zero problem with the inclusion. None. Okay. Why? But there's got to be a better way than boiling it down to a body part. No. In her mind, what is female like referred to? Because if we're talking about like biological processes and somebody calls like her a female, I don't think that she would get up in arms about it when they're just doing like when they're just talking about like her ovary, like her potential of having like ovaries or a uterus or the ability to give birth. Also, how is like birthing person isn't just like talking about a body part? So boiling it down to a body part, no, especially in the context of having reproductive rights taken away from people who just see women as baby making vessels. This is, I mean, like this person's got a point. It's just like how the language has to be used in this context. The intention is intention is that a person is seen foremost as a person, only secondly as their trait. Just how do you find a physical trait without misgendering someone? Did she reply to this? No. I wish she did. That's actually a really good question. That's actually a really good question. Could you bring me that video of her talking about this issue? Because I saw it, but I didn't interact with it. I didn't interact with like any of this stuff while I was there. Mike Figueroa chimes in. I respect you a lot, but this notion that is merely but this notion that the mere existence of trans-inclusive terms, rarely used in casual convos, somehow degrades women, comes right out of the right's anti-right war on women playbook. Hey, Mike, you're a guy who has no clue what it's like to have your reproductive freedom taken away, but I mean, this is like a, I don't know if she wants to pull this card. Mike's gay. Like, he may not have like, he may not have the experience of specifically having, I guess, reproductive rights in the context of, I'm sorry to say it, having a uterus. But there are states that still have like the banning of gay sex on their books. One of the biggest states in the country, Texas being one of them. How are you gonna? How can? I don't know if you can pull this card on if I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Forced birth can ruin your life and kill you. That's true. I'm more talking about the idea of like your reproductive rights being hampered by the state, like the overarching idea of your reproductive rights being taken from you from the state, than the necessary severity of those things. But let's finish her comment, and then we can talk about it. But consider what it's like to have the same lawmakers who failed to protect our rights turn around and call us people with uteruses. It is not inclusive if cis women hate it. It's not inclusive if you don't like it. I don't think that's true. You could just not like it. Once again, like, I'm fine not, when speaking to her, not to, I don't know. Does she have like a, did she ever come up with an idea for this? Did she ever come up with like a solution to this herself that she proposed? Or is she just like shooting down all of them? And she didn't propose anything herself. Anyone know? So now, because lawmakers have failed to protect your rights, you repeat the same talking points. I say what I say as an independent person. I care what the left thinks. Respect my personal boundaries. How many people are referring to you using this language? It must be a lot for you to air your grievances like this. I don't think this is the correct way to take this conversation. I just not to say this. Not. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's like a poor direction to get a good answer out of her. I don't think you're gonna get a good answer there like that. Or a cisgender birthing person with white cisgender privilege, and a man can be a woman if he wants to, simply by thinking about it. These are your rules. You must now live with them, birthing person. Oh no, the hate. Even Ollie London came in here. Michael Tracy came in here. Holy shit! It's the whole conservative clown car that just rolled up for this one. They started jumping out, one after the other. You're like, how'd they fit that many in here? How'd they get here so fast? They're just waiting around the corner. Hate to see it. Is there millions of people who can give birth in America? All right then. Here, let's see. Wait, when was this? This is March 22nd. It's almost been a whole month. Let's scroll down to, can we find March 22nd when she's talking? Thankfully, she doesn't use her Twitter too much. But let's see. Here we go. Let's see how this transpired on the Bird app. I know how people are still watching Cenk and Anna in 2023, YouTube, Facebook, and nice one. What do Trigger Pod, J.K. Rowling, Uygur, Kasparian all have in common? They all shove the success in people's faces when they get criticized. Thank you. You've been a huge part of everything we achieved. more than pissing off with our success. He has my number. My favorite are these bitch moves where people ask others to correct us. Are you complaining to my manager, Karen? I got news for you. I am the manager. Hi, Anna. What do you say to AOC who say instead of people who menstruate when you're talking about people who menstruate and trans inclusive and doesn't offend? Wait, I make a stroke. Hey, Anna, what do you want AOC to say instead of people who menstruate? Yeah, also, I don't think menstruate is a body part, but when you're talking about people who menstruate that are trans inclusive and doesn't offend you as a woman, you said there must be a better way. What do you? Oh, great. Can I ask a question in good faith? Why? I was hoping that this would just be a sure. Here's my idea. Oh no, it's the answering the question with a question. We're not gonna get an answer, are we, boys? Can I ask a question in good faith? If being referred to as a biological woman in the context of healthcare is offensive to a trans man, what is this language? Biological woman? Why is it that it's somehow less offensive to refer to them as them by mentioning body parts that belong to biological women? How is person with uterus better? Because they're not women? I mean, that's the simple answer. It's also the correct one because they're not women. So referring to them as a woman is incorrect and rude. But you do have a uterus. So that's what you all have in common. And that's what binds that. And so in this context, that's what the group of people, that's what we would point to talk about people who exist with this phenomena. I don't know. This seems, Chad, do I have any women here? Am I off base here? It seems that's how I would answer the question. It seemed like a fine answer to the question because they're not women. That's why it'd be they're simply not. Unless you're just transphobic, then I guess you would say they are, and so that should be fine then. But like, and wait, to refer to them by a body part. No, all right. You made transphobic outbursts, and we spent an hour on our show defending you from. Oh no, what happened now? What is this? Ah, here we go. The internet is filled with hating ass people who have to convince me otherwise. Oh, Olemi? This is one of the people from Leftist Mafia. Okay, thank you. Do you mean people who demand people cook their friends? Those kind of haters? Question mark. Response.
And you should be able to mention those without like having to classify it as, but you shouldn't get mad at her for this because of her history. No, I mean, no one's mad at her for her history.
I think it makes sense if you want her to change her mind and to understand what she did wrong. Because if it's just, if without that context, like, again, that's why it's important if you know her that you do include that context. Because she has to understand these disagreements are coming from an honest place, and we're not just doing it for clicks, right? Like that's so.
No, of course,
but that's not the same. That's not the same, though. That's not the same.
I have to say it. Oh my god, I have to say it. I like Anna, but I feel a little bit like this is the coddle the white lady hour.
Damn. No, dude. No, not the white women.
And you know why? And you know why? I thought this even earlier, because before this, the Majority Report put out a thing too, and everybody else. And I was like, boy, everybody sure feels the need to trip over their fucking feet to come out to defend her for getting cooked when all of the people get cooked all the time. I have yet to watch a video of anybody defending me from getting fucking cooked. I've never seen it. I've never seen everybody come out. She has a lot of fucking bad takes, and then she gets cooked because she comes out unprovoked. She asked to be cooked. She got up today and she said, Twitter, cook me. Right.
Listen,
She has yet to delete the tweet. I want to make it clear. She has yet to delete the fucking tweet.
Look, good morning, Dr. Goblin. I mean, I'm not gonna. Okay, here. I do think Anna has like, a bevy, of bad takes under the surface. Poor people is one of them. Some takes on homelessness, crime. Those are issues. Criminal justice isn't like, those aren't the best. The Young Turks have, like, as far as I remember, haven't been the best on those issues. Yeah, and Anna's like, for me, a driving force from what I've seen. A lot of the times when I hear her talk, there are things that I find things from mildly to quite disagreeable. We talked about it when I think, was she talking to Ben Shapiro? I forget. On that like debate, like conversation, whatever thing that she had, right? And so I think people just straight up, it's just, again, this is difficult. I wouldn't say, from what I've seen so far, I wouldn't say that she's just straight up transphobic. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't be able to co-sign that while feeling,
yeah, baby, that's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
Thank you for the raid. I can't call her just straight up transphobic. I wouldn't be able to co-sign that from what I've seen so far. I think it's like some problematic takes that definitely need to be like introspected on, and I'd love for her to like change her opinion. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily transphobic. I didn't see the Majority Report's video that they released on it, so I don't know if what they were saying is I don't know if what they were saying was Anna so based and red pilled, or if it's just like, hey, Anna actually isn't transphobic, even if you just disagree with her on this. Oh, did they change the title from this for this? Oh, I think they did. I think they changed it from Anna Kasparian is not transphobic to is Anna Kasparian anti-trans.
RIMs are broken. I don't know what's going on, but they froze basically at the start of the show. And then they aren't coming back, and I tried to refresh, then I lost all of them. But I did see an IM that I just wanted to respond to really quickly because I didn't want, like, they actually are broken, but I felt like people might be like, you're dodging this. I'm not. So I saw that my dear friend Anna Kasparian kind of went viral with a tweet, and some people wanted me to weigh in on it. And I just like, look, she, as I said, dear friend of mine, really good person. I don't think she's anti-trans. I don't think that's really even a question. She has a long track record in this space, and I think her track record should speak for itself. She's been in this space for a long period of time.
Old clip, yes. We're moving in chronological order. So we start with the old stuff, and then, may blow your mind. Then we'll listen to the new stuff in that order.
And has done a ton of great work. However, like I really do disagree with the emphasis. Like, I think it's wrong to overinflate the usage of kind of awkward language like birthing person, both in frequency and in terms of the stakes involved when someone is referred to by that language, because it's awkward. I get it. It's stilted when being used in non-medical or technical terms.
I have the clips. Thank you.
But I think that's like kind of the extent of the critique, right? It's awkward. It doesn't take away anyone's rights, and it's not in, when being used right now in that context, it's not taking away anyone's rights. And like, as a cis woman myself, I just think it's more important to put into context that, like, while you might not enjoy the technical language, that awkwardness is inevitable in this current climate and necessary, because we're trying to like fortify walls right now as trans erasure is widespread right now. Like, there's a barrage of deliberately trans exclusionary language, which is what some of the awkward, stilted terminology is meaning to beat back. And that trans exclusionary language is really just the tip of the iceberg for systemic erasure. So being diligent about combating that, I mean, that's at the forefront of my mind. So, like, again, I've tried to say this before. From my point of view, so much of what we do in this business, very small business, and I will reiterate that, like, Anna, in my opinion, is one of the very few good ones. But we have a disagreement here. Like,
one of the very few good ones? What, white women? Oh no. Everything that's being said by Emma Vigeland is Emma Vigeland's own opinion.
It just, so much of what we do isn't just how we cover something, it's what we cover, it's story selection, it's what we emphasize, and anyone in private has the right to have preferences about how they want to be identified. But in my position, member of the media, member of the left, the progressive left, being kind of spokespeople for the progressive left in an online media space, I just think we have a greater responsibility. And the assertion that someone wants to just be called a woman in like an individualized, atomized context is completely fair. But within the context of larger anti-trans panic and hundreds of bills on the state level targeting trans people, like, I try to bring a certain amount of awareness about how my statements are going to be taken, and I think it's obtuse to skirt around the context, right? So
that's actually a really good take. It is true, and we talk about this a lot. When you become like a media figure, when you become like a public person, especially if you're a public person specifically who's an advocate for certain political takes, there's some things you got to put on like the back burner a little bit when it comes to those types of things. I don't like talking about like a lot of black issues. If I'm going to be honest with you, they make me uncomfortable a decent amount. Or like things that I'm pretty close to. A lot of those streams you may notice that we only cover like a couple big things, and then we move on to like gaming, or I like raid out and we end the stream or something. So we don't have to like always like sit on it super hard for as long, like longer than need be. Right? But like, I mean, I gave up that like comfort when I became like a vocal advocate for like human rights. You know what I mean? You can always have you can always have like your cake and eat it too. Like I said, there's no problem with wanting to be called something specifically, especially like in private, but it seems quite weird to like hyper focus and then like, and even possibly like arguably irresponsible to then like go on about this in public as we're going through like a massive trans panic, trans erasure, trans eradication that some conservatives would love to begin their final crusade on. So I mean, I just think that's, you know, I think Emma Vigeland, true and real and factual and correct. And it just doesn't, it also just doesn't really make, I just don't think it makes too much sense, but you know, as it is. Back to this, Ole then responded and said, "You made transphobic statements and spent an hour on the show defending you from the allegations of being a TERF rather than addressing the substantive problems with your comment." That is important context. I'm not sure how true that is. I didn't watch it, but I do know that is, but if that's true, that's important context. For like at the end of the discussion, after they spent like the entire show being like, "I know Anna's so cool, I promise. If you're a trans person and you saw Anna on the street, she would not shoot you. Guys, please, if Anna saw you on the street, she would not call you a slur if you were trans, please. I promise you. If you were a trans woman and Anna saw you in the, I know Anna, I was on a Discord call with her. If Anna saw a trans person walk into the women's restroom, she would not beat you with her purse and then call the police. I promise, guys. Please don't say this. Please, please. Like, if that was like the entire hour, and then she's like, but at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, but she made a really bad tweet, and it is transphobic, right? As like the synopsis of what Ole is saying here. I don't think that's, I think it's a bit disingenuous to just take this part out. Right? I said it felt like we were coddling you. I stand by that. If you think that makes me a hater, knock yourself out, Miss Ma'ams. Damn. Not the Miss Ma'am. Oh, geez. Lol. You know this is, yeah, there's never a response in these type of situations that starts with lol, lamau, okay, all of those things. It's all, you know, it's all falling apart. Lol. The meltdowns. Oh no. Over wanting to be referred to as a woman rather than as birthing person is pretty wild. I'll never apologize for that, especially as a biological woman. Why does she keep using this term? What does this term mean to her? Does she? I don't know. Does anybody know how good is, like, I'm starting to, this is curious because I don't keep up with TYT. I'm starting to be, how is like TYT on trans issues? Because her like continued usage of this term is like is peculiar to me. I have only heard this term ever in my life from like TERFs, and I don't know what she necessarily means by it. And if so, what's the difference between sex and gender? I'm not sure if she talked about this. A year ago, I have the clip. Thank you. Biological woman who has a fucking lifetime of being told I'm less than. I'm a woman, no apologies. Has anyone called you a birthing person? Anyone at all? Yes, Tyler, I live in California. These issues are not whether you want to be called a woman or not. Is the opposing the entire usage of birthing person. Yeah, I do. Listen here. Let me see if I can make like Anna's argument better. Okay. I'm pretending to be Anna. Okay. I'm going to put on my white woman costume. I'm now pretending to be Anna Kasparian, female co-host to TYT. I understand the importance, utility, and usage of terms like birthing person and people with uteruses and people who menstruate. With that being said, I have to be honest. In private contexts or outside of these types of political discussions, I find it uncomfortable to be boiled down to those characteristics. It's reminiscent of conservatives who think of us only as, quote, holes, end quote, or quote, walking incubators, end quote. And in those contexts, it personally makes me uncomfortable, and I would prefer if you would not refer to me in that way. Furthermore, with that being said, there is no broader political context to this. It is my personal opinion that personally makes me feel a certain way. And yeah, well, I guess you just end it there. There you go. As I think that's a statement that would have just like gone perfectly fine, honestly. Or in these situations, may you please, can I ask, you say women and people who can give birth, or women and people who can menstruate. Thank you very much. I think that would have gone perfectly fine, and people would have been, there may be like a little buzz, but like I really feel like that like covers like most contexts, and then people would be like, and then it wouldn't have gotten like this. I feel like here's my problem, okay? When I feel like we should stop thinking that much. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, we haven't gone, I don't think I've like made a smegment on this or anything yet, and I'm not sure if I can necessarily maybe tie it into something bigger. I feel like way too often we try to justify our own personal wants and wishes. We try to justify our own personal things that we like, things that we don't like, things that we're offended by, things that we're not, you know, with some sort of like argument or theory, like fucking like get down to the axioms of why I don't like ketchup on my hot dog, you know. And like sometimes you don't like ketchup on your hot dog because you are against the usage of land and water in inefficient ways that infringes on nature and deforestation. Sometimes and all those things, and then make it into like a huge argument. Sometimes you don't like ketchup on your hot dog simply because you just don't like ketchup on your hot dog, and it's not really deeper than that. It just you take a bite of the hot dog and you're like, I wish this didn't have ketchup on it. I don't think you can really rationalize and make like a big argument of in like some like weirdo theory bro, debate bro bullshit like way when on like when it comes to like what you just don't find tasty, what you do and just don't find tasty. So like I feel like a lot of people simply just try to make themselves feel better in these types of situations, or feel more right, or make their personal opinions and feelings about things feel more valid by coming up with an argument about it, and then people can poke holes in it, and then you poke holes in it, and then you feel like you need to defend it more, then you like build up more walls, and then it's just like a big mess when you could just be like, yeah, I don't like it. Make me feel bad. It go boo boo ouchie on my feels. And you know what? It's okay if something puts a boo boo ouchie on your feelings. I don't think that's necessarily invalid. I think if something really makes somebody upset, I don't think we really need a better reason not really to say it, unless there's like an even more overarching reason why it happens, and then we can work out and then we can work something out, or we can come to an understanding. Like, and not every situation is something wrong. You didn't necessarily do something wrong. You know what I mean? Like something wrong, just because we have disagreements and we don't agree doesn't mean anybody necessarily did anything wrong. It's not wrong to use the term like people who menstruate or birthing persons. It's simply not, no matter what you want to think about it. You can not like it, and that's okay. All right. And also using the term birthing persons is also okay. You know, but like maybe we can come to some understanding sometime, but like broadening it out, and then especially trying to like scoop up like other like trans men and other trans people into it to try to make like more arguments, and then answering questions with questions and this type of thing, I just don't think is like the most effective way to deal with this. And then people get the wrong idea, and then like everybody gets defensive, and everybody's making insults, and then now it's like a huge issue. It just doesn't. I think she handled this poorly. I believe she handled this poorly as somebody whose job it is to speak. I think she could have spoken it better, and made her position better to the people who were listening. It's just that imposing the entirety of using birthing person would force trans men to call themselves women to get access to pregnancy care they need. You are forcing that on them and risking their exclusion. I realize the weirdos, obsessives are ratioing this, but this is a real issue. Nurse mistakes pregnant transgender man as obese. Then, oh yeah, I saw this. Like the woman, like a nurse mistook like a trans man who was pregnant as just fat, and then didn't give them proper care, and then the baby died. The like trans exclusion and negligence literally killed the baby. The baby was born stillbirth because they didn't get proper care, because they just were like, man, whatever. Which is sad and cringe. Labels are important. It is true. And so yeah, I think that would be important usage of that word there, personally. Of those terms there. Personally. Wow. Here, let's see. Let's check some of her let's check some of her like replies here, because we can't see literally every reply. I'm sure a lot of women don't want to be minimized to their bodily function or body part. What about female? Does she hate the word female? Does anybody ask that? We don't need to be myopic about this statement. The uplifting ones in existence doesn't need to come the erasure of others. You all have uteruses? It's simple. Womanhood is a challenging experience, and having it being referenced to just your reproductive organ is insulting. But they're not. Oh no, Jack. Oh no, Jack. Wait, what happened here? Let's see. Person with uteruses is specific, inclusive, and doesn't lead to negative health outcomes. The studies on this show that using gendered language for healthcare leads to significant percentages of trans and intersex people not receiving necessary care, sometimes fatally. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate and respect your response. Oh, she didn't engage with that at all. She gave her, oh no, she gave her the damn customer service. Thank you for sending an email message. Oh no. Not the customer service. We thank you for submitting a report. You hate to see it. I was really hoping she was gonna bounce off that. That's a really important point that she seems to just like, yeah, all right, whatever. All right then, that's sad. Okay. This is wild. This is wild stuff. This is, I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like it just goes so much. It's just so much. There's so much into this. Do you think that this is like, a lot of this is like really like the catalyst for, do you think a lot of this was just like the catalyst for a lot of people's like already like waning opinions on TYT to just kind of bubble to the surface? It's one of those things where, you know that meme where it's like, when me showing up to the cancel party when somebody that I always never liked now has a genuine reason for me to not like them even more, like type thing. No, everything's coming down. Oh yeah, it's all coming down now. Oh man, it's all coming down now. And like some people have sent me this. I've seen some of this stuff, but I'd like to show you this.
They know that it is very possible for someone to be born a biological male or biological female, but in terms of gender, identify differently as a male or non-binary, but they still have the biological capacity, the physical capacity to get pregnant. Mm-hmm. So that's why the language, the rhetoric is inclusive to include those people. It is not a big deal. but they make it a big deal. They manufacture it into a big deal because that's all Republicans are. That's all they have. This is all they do. Endless bad faith arguments meant to fearmonger and direct hatred and fear toward other Americans, typically powerless Americans.
Damn. I mean, that is the reason. That is the big reason why I think these terms should be used. And there's nothing wrong with them. All right, well, she ate no crumbs, as they say. Cenk attacking Lance from the Surfs. Not Surf from the Lance.
Here, I'll name the name. Lance from the Surfs. He's on here all the time on the Power Panel, right? And he comes out and does this like video about how he's so correct and oh yeah, the Young Turks, correct? No, Lance, you're not goddamn correct. Nobody elected you. The polling shows no one agrees with you. Your 12 buddies online, I don't care, okay? And say, oh.
Am I one of those buddies? Or is he talking about the podcast that he has?
Oh yeah, I'm 100%. He's 99.95% correct. Oh, I'm going to correct him. No. So don't look. You want to say, hey, I don't agree with you? God bless. You want to say, Cenk, you shouldn't say anything back because you're being rude. Come on, brother or sister. I don't know where.
Didn't Lance post what? I think Lance posted his response, or like what he said originally in the video. Or the horrible things Lance said about Cenk and TYT.
I would hope that I could attain a fraction of the success of things like the Justice Democrats movement and the progressive movement that TYT has ignited in the United States. That, like, forever I will be humbled by that. And I will always say that. It's the same shit that when I fucking talk about other people where I'm like, I don't understand this. I have to acknowledge parts of their history that were incredible. Like,
no, this is some dick sucking. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm ride or die for Anna. I love her. She's my co-host. She's an institution. She's one of the reasons why TYT is as big as it is, which is all truthful, all real. Like, those are all truthful facts. But I do disagree with her on this issue. Let's play again. Anna being so fucking right and based on this topic.
More dick sucking?
Precisely. I could not agree more. You are 100% correct, Anna. You are on point. You are spitting fucking facts here. Listen to this shit. All of us, in the most earnest of ways, coming from a place of love, you know, in the best of faith, our hearts fill and swell. All of us being like, this ain't it, and we know you know this ain't it because you've...
Crazy. The thing I'm curious about is that Anna never responded to this clip. Like, Anna never responded to this clip, and I wonder. I mean, maybe did she? Does anybody know if she ever responded to this clip on stream or anything? Did she ever like talk about this? Not that I'm aware of. I think she definitely saw this. I don't believe that she didn't see this. I mean, this says I can't see likes. I turned off likes on Twitter, but like this has 2,428 bookmarks. It has 757. I have a suspicion that this is a ratio and a big one. So I'm curious if she saw it, why wouldn't she say anything about it? She could simply say that I mean, she could just say that I've changed my opinion, I guess. Or she could say that these two positions that I have don't conflict and then try to explain why. But left-wing extremists help the right wing so much. 66% of the country is left-wing, according to polling on policy issues. It's a bit more complicated than that, but okay. They don't believe in defunding the police or being called Latinx, or, well, 66% of the country isn't even Latin. Or calling women birthing people or abolishing prisons. Okay. Anyone who claims they do is lying. Isn't your point contradictory? If that number is correct, that means that any aversion to inclusive language is marginal compared to policy sets. Democrats have been doing well in elections so far. Nobody is making voting decisions based on clumsy activist medical language. True and based. From Emma Viglin. What helps the right here is ceding ground to them and not being proactive in reframing the debate around these phrases, which have which have to do on the behalf, which we have to do on the behalf of the country most marginalized groups. If people prefer inclusive language, shouldn't we listen and make a case for them? Holy based, Emma. Miss Viglin with the dropping the huge W's. Thank you, Miss Viglin. Very cool. Pretty sure Cenk responded to this. Emma, I see leftists using this language outside of clinical context. What do you mean by clinical necessarily? Couldn't necessarily be clinical. It could be like gender or sexuality. That's not necessarily. I don't think every like person who talks about trans issues is a fucking doctor, but like, you know, this new excuse that that no one was using. Oh no, not the clip again. Not the clip again. It's haunting them. It's like slowly behind them, dude. It's like their shadow. This clip just keeps following them. They can't escape it. And I haven't seen any of them say anything about it yet. This new excuse that no one was using it anyway is bullshit. But I'm happy about it. If everyone wants to retire these terms just to clinical context, great, I agree. I guess the question is, what's with the repeated emphasis on this, especially with no examples of education of like electoral fallout? Why do leftists have to bend language to appease the right? Hasn't TYT's mantra always been about fighting and beating the right into submission, metaphorically? What the freaking Emma from the top row? Cis womb haver. Actually, I don't use the term womb haver. I like to use the term Yudi beauty. So I think we could fix all of these issues just by making them sound cuter, if I'm gonna be honest. Don't say womb haver, say Yudi cuties. We love our Yudi cuties. Ain't that right, chat? Ain't that right, chat? I think this is the middle ground that we're all looking for. Ew. All right, well, they don't like it. Well, back to the drawing board. Vaguber possessor. What is this? Oh no, not the clips. Not the clips dropping. Not the clips dropping. What is this?
To be honest, I just don't really care to like collaborate with any other leftist ever again at this point.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at, because they come on the show, they build a name for themselves, and then they build a bigger name for themselves, trashing us as if they don't know who we are, as if they haven't worked with us, they don't know what our actual political values are. So I don't, Jake, I never want to talk about them again. I never want to address them again. It's a waste of time. There's important stuff going on in the country. Our personal drama with a bunch of leftists on Twitter doesn't matter.
All right.
To be honest.
Bridges burned. Also, who is she talking about? Who is she talking about? Was Dora a leftist? I don't think Dora was a leftist. Maybe I just am misunderstanding her usage of the term leftist. I know Dave Rubin wasn't a leftist, ever, at all, actually. Tracy? What, Tracy worked at TYT? Is that true? Voosh? Voosh doesn't fit the definition. If he ever called into TYT, it's been a while ago. Lance? Did Lance build a name with TYT? Was Lance ever really connected to TYT in any meaningful way? Besides like maybe being on sometime? He co-hosted some stuff, I believe. Emma? Lance hosted them sometimes. Hosted them as in like before Twitch removed hosting, let's raid into TYT. Is that what you mean? Because that doesn't refer to what she's talking about. He went on a few times, that's it. Yeah, I don't think Lance counts. They specifically say this about Lance and Emma. I don't think Lance counts. I don't know Emma's relation to TYT, honestly. But you're right, Morik, and I've like felt the same way. Twitch remove hosting. Yeah, if you never see like channels hosting another channel again, it's because hosting it's not real. If you try and go back to the stream that you got rated out from, it won't be like, we're hosting the channel. It's gone. They're offline and they move you to their chat. Yeah, it's hosting is no more. If I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. But yeah, like you're right, Morik. I was thinking the same thing. What in the world are they putting in the water at TYT? what is happening? Yo, TYT, I'm not, let me say this, okay? TYT and the people who used to be on their show, it reminds me of like watching a friend who's like a hopeless romantic who always falls into bad relationships, and then it will be like the big puppy love phase, and they're like always spending time together, and you're like, wow, I'm so happy for you, bestie. Go on, you do your shit. I'm happy for you. And then like 2 months later, they're calling you at like 9:38 p.m. FaceTime, crying their eyes out. You know what I mean? It's just like, and it's been like the third one this year. And then I said, and then they said, listen, I get it, okay? But I don't know, man. There's something with your like, if I don't know, man, if everything's always falling apart, the judgment and character and the people that you bring in is something. Yeah, snot dribbling out of their nose, the ugly tears, the crying, the coughing because they've been crying so much, the dry throat. You gotta ask them what they said again. The blubbering. And it's just like, oh man, I feel bad for him and everything, but at the same time, like, what is going on? That you can't also good, nice, that's a cute new profile pic, Morik. I was just like, what is, I don't know, man, what is in the water? What is in the water at TYT? Why do their relationships with their, like, I don't know, they seem like, listen, how do I word this? Cenk and Anna are strong and sometimes abrasive personalities. And like from what I've seen, I know Cenk, absolutely. He is very, like for Cenk, I'll definitely say bullheaded. I don't know Anna as much, but yeah, like Cenk is very bullheaded and very and can be very abrasive, which can lead to a lot of, you know, a big following and also like a lot of haters. That's how it is. I say the same thing when I refer to the Vaush Vidya, friend of the stream, and Demon Mima, and Zan, and Slanderhall. I believe all of them can have very abrasive personalities that can lead to a lot of people really liking them and a lot of people really disliking them. It's just how they operate. And it's who they are at the end of the day. But I think as all of us here, if you keep up with them any know, it does lead to problems. It does absolutely lead to problems. Just a bit much. And I don't even think why would she refer to, like, what did Emma say that was so bad? Do you all know? Because like Emma, it seemed like she was quite respectful and everything with her dealing with everything. Unless, I mean, like, here, there was some other stuff that I had. Emma, like, talked about some other stuff, but, like, Emma dared argue she disagreed. Really? Unironically? Because I was looking at the things Emma said, and I mean, like, in the way that she's going about this, she seems quite, like, respectful. Emma, we love you too. We're beyond this disagreement in a second. But in this case, you guys, oh no, not the you guys. Make a giant mountain out of the smallest molehill, then after, to Anna, it doesn't seem like a molehill. It really doesn't. She may disagree with that, but the way in which she's going about it and how she described how it makes her feel, like, she may not have said the word, but I think everybody can understand what she's picking up on. She's inferring that she feels dehumanized by being lumped in with like trans inclusive language, like people with uteruses or people who can menstruate or you know, or anything along those lines. it seems like she's like specifically saying that she feels dehumanized. It's not even like, I just don't like it. It's much stronger than I don't like it. It's like dehumanization, bordering on possible bigotry. Honestly, is what I'm picking up from her. Now, you guys can let me know if you see it like differently, but like, I don't think this, it doesn't seem like a molehill. It seems like making a mountain out of a mountain. And the repercussions for this language being used, this language being tossed aside and demonized, is trans people can die in the hospital. And for her, it's, I'm uncomfortable for a little bit, which I don't want to disregard her discomfort. Like I said, and I want to like make it clear, it's fine to not like agree. It's fine to not like, well, it's fine to not like to be called that way. But I don't know, it just seems weird that I haven't heard them talk really about like the other times when they talk about this issue, and I don't feel like they've grounded it in the way that they need to actually make this come across as the way that would make people be less upset with them. I really just don't think they're handling themselves correctly here. I mean, what do you think? I just really don't like the way they handle themselves here. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I dislike it. I think it's cringe. Seems intentional. I don't think it's intentional. I just think they're abrasive personalities. I think they're just bullheaded and abrasive personalities. I think that's, I don't think much more goes into it. I've been seeing some like, I've been seeing some like conspiratorial takes that, as you see, TYT is bleeding subscribers because of all of this. So it is their time to pivot. No longer are they able to show growth in the future and to be able to take out more loans from banks. And so they're looking to pivot to be a right-wing channel to get bought out by The Blaze or even Daily Wire before they cash out on their misdeeds and try to wash the blood of trans people from their hands before they drift off into their meaningless liberal meandering into the void. And I'm just like, bro, I don't think it's that serious, if I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it runs that deep. I'm not even like exaggerating. Somebody like said that damn near verbatim to me like earlier today on YouTube. That was a YouTube post. I'm not lying. It was a response to somebody asking me the question if I had any opinions about the Anna Kasparian drama. I was like, what in blue blazes? Yeah, it's Rebrand, the Young Turfs. Emma responds to viewer question about TYT spat. This is like a day ago. I want to see what our good friend of the stream, Sam.
Hey, this is John. I'm calling from Indiana. John from Indiana. What's on your mind?
Has to say.
Well, hey, I just wanted to say, first off, I'm a big fan. I've been listening to you guys for a couple of years now. And I really appreciate listening in on news commentary that doesn't make me feel gaslit. So
I managed 3 when I was like 17. I think my max is 8 or 9, if I remember correctly.
Make you feel like what?
Hopeless.
Oh, hopeless. All right. Well, we do our best. Yeah. But I wanted to call, and I'm trying to word this without being too inflammatory.
He does have a nice beard.
I wanted to call about Anna Kasparian, because I feel like that is not getting the right kind of attention. And so,
okay.
and I know you were gone yesterday.
True and real.
Yeah, I think.
I think did you see I commented on this yesterday?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I know she's a friend of the show, and I know that her and Emma are personal friends, and so I don't think that it's, you need to like completely lambast someone, but I don't know. I felt like, for instance, the clipping of that with the title that she's not anti-trans was not necessarily the right. To me, it just seemed.
Oh, I was right. They did change the title. Because I was like, I think I remember that video was titled Emma, like Anna Kasparian is not transphobic. That's what I remember it as. Okay, I was right.
Kind of tone deaf. I guess the problem I had was that like that tweet in and of itself wasn't great, but I think the bigger.
Is this a rerun? Yes.
context was the replies. It got very combative and a lot of Nazis popping in, agreeing with her. Ben Shapiro's retweeting her. Carrie Lake popping in saying, hey, broken clock. And that's not anything about any one person.
Yeah. When the way that we do the show is we do the show and then another person clips the show. Now there's on occasion I'll say like, oh, somebody really wanted this phone call or this and that, and I'll send a message. But part of the reason why we do that is because I don't want what we do on the show to be dictated to how I think it's going to do on YouTube. That, you know, to the way that I can insulate the show from like sort of chasing clicks. That's the way I do it. I do think that the guy who clips the show, sometimes like it's his job to sort of get clicks. And so he may do that in different ways. So, but that's aside.
Are you really gonna take down a man simply just trying to get his bread? Can you really attack a boy on his hustle? Be honest. Shall we shame a lad simply trying to make a little moolah? I don't think it was the worst title, if I'm going to be honest with you. It could lead to some other issues, but yeah. I think it's clickbait, but I wouldn't put in the like incorrect clickbait. She does literally say that Anna Kasparian is not transphobic, literally in the video. We watched it. So I'm not gonna sit here and say that like that's wrong. Bit inflammatory, but as it goes.
Second order thing. Here's my feeling, and I will also say I didn't read into the whole thread of that because I was literally constantly moving yesterday. But look, I don't have any reason to believe, based upon her commentary in the past, that Anna is anti-trans. But tweeting out something like that, in my estimation, is the tweet itself, the act and the tweet, in this context, right, is an anti-trans act. I just think it is. Yeah. Because, you know, and context is everything in this case.
Yeah.
One of the issues I had with Sam Harris back in the aughts was that right in the midst of a debate in this country about torture, he writes up a thing in Huffington Post, which is basically the equivalent of Twitter, maybe bigger than Twitter in terms of like, you know, broadcasting this stuff, you know, a piece that he titled In Defense of Torture. And, you know, even if I thought that his thought experiment and whatnot had like any sort of like
most normal intellectual dark web thinker
didn't. But even if I did, to tweet that out in the midst of a debate about torture in this country is clearly a political act in and of itself, and he knows what he's doing there. Now, I don't know if Anna was, you know, sort of how conscious she was of this or what, but in addition to the fact that no one is forcing anybody to accept any type of like, you know, description of who they are. And I'm sure there are some quarters, I wouldn't even say quarters, 16ths, eighths, you know, whatever it is, where people exclusively use language like birthing people as opposed to women and birthing people. But it really has no impact on her life. And it has a huge impact on the lives of people who are trans. And, you know, look, there are, you know, it's not easy for older people, in my estimation, people are just not used to it, to always remember to have some level of sensitivity to these things. And people.
Oh no, my man said older people. Oh no, dude. Oh no, dude. It's so over. He referred to Anna as older people. Yikes. Dude, it's so over. He called her old. L plus not trans plus old plus ratio. Fuck you. It's so Jover. Oh man.
People should do their best. I mean, I don't have a rule about it on the show, but for me personally, I always attempt to say, you know, if we're talking about abortion laws, I try and say women and people who can get pregnant. You know, I mean, as just because it costs me nothing and it shows respect to people out there, and particularly at a time where there are people who are under assault for being trans. There are families who are under assault for trying to get their kids some type of medical care. in some way gender affirming care or to deal with this, it is particularly incumbent upon us to show that level of sensitivity to the people who are impacted and to this moment. And so, I just thought that the tweet itself, and I don't know what her intentions were about it, but the idea that saying, semen providers in any way, and look, I will say, saying semen providers, I don't think disregards my manhood in some way. I understand that though that.
Oh, is that why people kept saying? Is that why people kept saying I identify as the cum giver or something along those lines? Is that the context of those tweets that I saw from Lance, the cum donor? I identify as the semen demon. I would like to call my prostate haver cringe. I would like to. It has to have alliteration. What about the prostate provocateur? Ever think about that? What about the vast deference defender? The cum truck. The jizz spreader? The jizzlers. Okay, there you go. You got me. You got me. I'm back. We are so back. I'm the jizz man. Oh, I'm going to fix this. Thank you, Hassan. Hassan Piker sits down with Cenk to discuss reaching a no, dude. How the turns have tabled. How is this? The foot is on another hand. This is who could have seen this coming? Hassan to save the day. Yo, Hassan, come collect your mans. Dr. Osmosium, thank you so much for the 2-tier subscription. Sam Cedar, do not say that again. Do not say that again. Thank you for the tier 2 subscription. From less than a year. It's from less than a year ago. When and how if we should use birthing people? Oh no.
TYT, we recently got into a controversy. If you watch TYT Network, you're thinking, of course, when don't you? Here's the twist though. With our own
Is that Cenk's catchphrase? Is that his catchphrase? Does anybody know? Because he said it in the same way that in the same context that I've heard it before. Yes, actually. Oh, well.
Audience and some of our own contributors. So we're going to talk that through. Before I bring on our guests,
he said it like a catchphrase. So I was like, I think that's a catchphrase.
Anna and I talking about this issue, and then we'll discuss. Let's watch.
I'm speculating that she doesn't want to say mothers because mothers is gendered, and she's worried about offending birthing people. Like birthing people, really? Come on. For me, it's not even like, oh, I don't want to be inclusive, and I don't want to think of transgender people. It's the phrasing. Like it just makes you sound like a weird object that like. You're a vessel and nothing more. Like birthing people just sounds weird. Like if I were pregnant and someone referred to me as a birthing person, I would feel like, why are you calling me that? You know what I'm saying? Like
it's going to drive everyone away from you. And
my question is, what do they think about what do they think about the term able-bodied? What about that term? Do they feel the same way? Parent? You say potential parents. Well, actually, it doesn't work because you can adopt. Yeah, what do they think about the term like able-bodied, if this is the case? Like, oh, ooga booga, you can walk? You're boiling me down to my walking? You're boiling me down to my feet? You mother, you if I get my hands on you, I'm a you motherfucker.
It's going to lead to a situation where it's harder to win those rights that we're all fighting for rather than easier to win.
So let me show you the tweet that started that whole controversy in the first place, and then I'll bring in Sandy.
Is this the same meme over again? What in the world? Is this what happens when none of us talk about Destiny anymore? We have to find the new discourse the new discourse udder. We must latch ourselves onto the new discourse udder. Why is this the same? It was over for you 11 months ago.
talk about it. So it was from Dr. Michelle Morrison. It said the urgency of this moment is clear. Mortality rates of birthing people are too high, and babies born to Black and Puerto Rican mothers in this city are 3 times more likely to die in their first year of life than babies born to non-Hispanic white birthing people. All right, and now to talk with us about it is Sandy Lovas. She's a contributor for us at Rebel Headquarters. She's from Canada, a longtime TYT viewer as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm sub to Rebel. I like Rebel. There's something like oh yeah, that's where I remember Emma from. She's from Rebel. Cause I was like, I think I've seen this lady before when she started like co-hosting for Magority, and I was like, I feel like I've seen this lady before. Yeah, she's from she used to well, I'm not sure if she still does, but she used to be all over Rebel, right? She used to do like the short hit pieces on well, not hit pieces, the short like hot takes on Rebel, right? Rebel HQ. I keep up with Rebel HQ a lot. Well, I used to, not as much as anymore, but like I know I keep up with Rebel. I'm sub to them. I don't really watch a lot of political content much anymore anyways. Emma Base.
And our first international contributor, which I like a lot, Sandy, great to have you on.
Hi, it's great to meet you.
All right, wonderful. So Sandy, go ahead, kick my ass. What did I do wrong? Tell me what the issue is.
So right now, people who are non-binary, people who are trans men are coming out more and more. And there's actually, it's not that there's an increase in people who identify as this, it's just that they're becoming more comfortable. Like right now, the recent stat is about 20% of Gen Zs actually feel like they are part of the LGBTQ community.
Use this term.
So, Sandy, first of all, so I get the sense of the activists in the community, right? So they're not, but again, if I get it wrong, tell me, okay? So they're not saying that...
Was this from today? No, 11 months ago. Apparently this is an ongoing kerfuffle within the TYT universe.
Mothers birthing people. They're saying if they want to be referred to as birthing people, then refer to them that way. Is that right?
Correct. We're not saying we're going to replace the word mother. And even the term birthing person or birthing people isn't even settled on. Personally, I use child bearer because, again, it's new language. It's going to be clumsy. The woman who tweeted that out, you know, she should have been consistent throughout. But when new language starts, it's always going to be sounding clumsy. The right will never buy into it because they wouldn't no matter what. And the way to get people in the center and the left to actually buy into it is to use it and normalize it. Because we've been through these transformations in language before. We used to only ever say police men, and then it changed to women, police women. But then that was getting confusing because you didn't know which gender they were, you were misgendering, so it became police officer. So it's a matter of trying to find a balance of words that don't necessarily sound clumsy, something that we can all kind of...
After that one, there's no issue with us referring to people in the way that they want to be referred, right? So if somebody wants to be referred to as a birthing person or a child bearer as opposed to a mother, I have no issue with that at all, right? But in the context of that tweet, Sandy, it seemed like she was referring to it as a general term for all mothers. And that's where I would say, at minimum, politically, I would not do that. I think that it puts people off, they're confused by it, and especially conservatives, I mean, you're never conservatives anyway, but maybe conservative independents, right? They're scared of change, right? And all of a sudden when they hear something so foreign to them, they go, oh, hell no, I'm not, nobody's gonna call me a birthing person, I'm a mother, right? And especially on an issue like that. So do you see what I'm saying by the critique of that tweet that refers to mothers in general as birthing people?
Yes, I do, and I understand what you were trying to say in it. It's just,
I guess, I don't know. This kind of reminds me of, let me know if you guys hear about this a lot. Like when people say like trans and non-binary people over here in this playpen, I typically just say trans people, and I'm referring to all flavors of a transgender. Biden and a lot of other people refer to that group, those groupings of people as trans and non-binary people. They split them up. I mean, you may not. I don't know. I don't know if I've necessarily I've met some trans. I know of some trans people who get mad when non-binary people get called trans. I've never heard a non-binary person get mad about being called trans. They are by definition trans, literally by definition. But with that, but with that being said, I mean, fine, whatever. I mean, if that's the case, then you could simply just say women and people who can give birth. Yeah, I don't like being separated from trans people. I'm NB, I'm trans. Hello trans, I'm a streamer.
In that particular clip, you came across as very dismissive, like saying for the 9 people it's going to include, is it really worth this? But if you look even at your own audience here on TYT, like 7% of adults are identifying LGBTQ+. And since this is a left-leaning network, that percentage watching this is going to be even higher. So if you have, let's say 10% of your audience is LGBTQ+, and a large portion of them are people who are capable of having babies but don't identify as a woman, it really feels like you just kind of dismiss that whole part of us. Because I do agree right now, the right is using us as a distraction. But it's kind of like throwing a bomb into a crowd so that they can go rob the bank. There are people who are losing their jobs, suffering, that are under constant threat, being harassed. And now children who are transgender are literally being erased because of this legislation that are going through. This is going to cause a higher suicide rate among them, because it doesn't matter how many hugs you can give them, how many words that you can tell them. They are being taken apart bit by bit with this legislation. And it's devastating.
I'm not sure if this is the correct route to go for this, but like,
totally surprised by that. And I've actually been saying on the show for nearly 20 years, the right wing is not necessarily wrong about the culture wars in that they say, oh my God, if you just allowed people to be gay, a lot more people would be gay. And I always said, yeah, that's true, right? But why are we stopping them from their own true nature? What a weird thing to say. Like don't let them be what they really, really want to be. So we seem to be against freedom. So I'm perfectly aware of the spectrum, and the people who are childbearing but don't want to be referred to as mothers, that is not 20%. That is not 7%. That is a very, very small number. Okay, now I understand what you're saying about how my language sounded dismissive, right? And I don't want to be that.
Maybe.
But Sandy, if we start calling all mothers birthing people to take into account the feelings of that very, very, very small number, we're going to do more damage to the LGBTQ community because it's going to turn off so many people that, oh, that's it. Well, then I'm not left, because there's no way anybody's going to call me a birthing person.
Care.
But again, we're not trying to erase the word mother. We're just trying to add a term that's more inclusive.
Yeah, and Sandy, I hear what you're saying too, because what are you going to do? You have to add a word, right? And you're right. These new words are tough, right? Some are clunky, some are awkward, some are just new and new.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, I don't know. How about you just use both in the same sentence, if you want, if you like really want. I just think it's super. I still think it's super weird how they haven't responded to like what they said like previously about the whole, you know, language thing. I just feel like it was there, and then it's like people keep talking to her about it, and then she just never ever responded. And I don't know, maybe will never respond. I just want to know what her opinion is on it. I feel like it could clear up a lot of misconceptions. If I'm not even saying that she must do it. I feel like it like help her own self out. I feel like it would clear up a lot of misconceptions, and especially people thinking that she's like transphobic or something, or I guess confirm them if I guess she is super transphobic. I don't know who she is. I've never spoken to the woman in my entire life. So yeah, I found it. There it is. I looked it up through Google and I found the tweet.
One that I read. So I'll just say this. Okay, I love you, and it's okay. And if you disagree, it's okay. If you want to leave, that's okay. Okay. Thank you for being a member all this time. I appreciate it. But what in my opinion, what your misunderstanding is, and what you have maybe you didn't see is, so all this kerfuffle starts with a simple tweet, and then at least half a dozen videos from other progressives or leftists online, attacking us and calling us all sorts of names. So maybe you don't see that, so you think like, well, what is Cenk so upset about, right? So they call us all these names, and they feel super proud about it. Like, we are more pure. So then I fight back on Twitter.
Okay. That seems like that's the beginning of that tweet that we saw earlier. Wild stuff. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.